Good evening. Hi, this is Laura.
Hi, this is Laura. Today I'm reading to you Ruth and Esther, Pirates in the Park by Thom Roberts, pictures by Harold Burson. It was warm and sunny the day Jenny said to her dog Mose, "Let's go to the park." Mose watched and wagged his tail while Jenny piled her stuffed animals and dolls inside the wagon. "You all need a little exercise, especially you," she said to two tin soldiers as she polished them on her shirt tail. Just then a very fat elephant fell from the top of the pile. Jenny picked it up by the trunk. "And you really need some exercise." Mose followed the wagon as Jenny pulled it to the park. When they got to the boat pond, Jenny saw a group of kids. They were watching a boy launch his new pirate ship. "The Skull can outsail and outshoot any vessel on the 7 seas," he boasted. "Chivalry timbers, Bates. You can watch, but don't touch her." Jenny pulled her wagon close to the pond. A gust of wind filled the sails of the pirate ship, and it cut through the ripples toward an island in the middle of the pond. "I wish I had a boat," she said, "even a little one." Mose wagged his tail and sniffed the ground. Jenny took the elephant from the wagon. "Wouldn't you like a ship like that?" she said, putting the elephant on the grass. After she put the other animals and dolls near the edge of the pond, Mose nudged her and ran ahead a few feet. "I'll play with you in a minute," she said. Mose ran back toward her and dropped a walnut shell at her feet. She turned the shell over in her hands, and then she smiled. Mose looked on quietly as she picked up a twig and a maple leaf. She poked the twig through the leaf and stuck it into a piece of walnut meat that was left in the shell. "We can call it the SS Walnut," said Jenny. She leaned over the pond and put the little ship on the water. It didn't sink, but it didn't cut through the ripples the way the Skull did either. The boy who had just launched the Skull watched her for a few moments, laughed and laughed. "You call that a ship?" he shouted, and the others began to laugh too. Jenny tried and tried to push the SS Walnut out onto the pond, but the lapping water kept holding it back. "You need a real ship like mine," yelled the boy. "Yeah," shouted another boy. "Go home and play with your dolls." He threw a stone at the SS Walnut. Jenny's face got redder and redder as she leaned closer to the SS Walnut and gave it another push. Then suddenly she noticed the reflection of her ship in the water. Somehow it looked different. It seemed getting bigger and bigger. Right before her eyes it grew and grew until it was full-sized. Waves were now slapping against the ship. Jenny turned and saw all her animals and dolls marching on board. She was the captain and they were her crew. Mose followed behind her as she walked up the gangplank. While the crew made ready to set sail, Jenny and Mose stood at the ship's helm and sighted their course. A rag doll pulled the gangplank aboard. The elephant lifted the anchor. Then slowly the huge ship pulled away from the dock. The SS Walnut sails were full in the breeze as it headed out to sea. Jenny stood proud at the helm and guided the ship toward an island on the horizon. The crew was working peacefully when suddenly a rabbit ran toward Jenny and handed her a telescope. Look out there," he shouted. Jenny focused the telescope, and there, hiding in a cove of the island, was a skull. The SS Walnut's crew was terrified. A giraffe hid its face in a sail. The two tin soldiers deserted their post. A clown ran around in circles. Even Mose looked scared, but Jenny stayed at the helm. "Full speed ahead," she commanded, "and back to your stations, all of you." As they neared the island, the Skull sailed out of its hiding place in the cove. Jenny looked through the telescope and recognized the boy from the pond in the park. He held his sword up, and the pirates aimed their cannons at the SS Walnut. No one on the SS Walnut knew what to do. Then the pirate captain slashed his sword through the air, and cannons began firing. Over and over the cannons boomed as the Skull sailed closer to the SS Walnut. Huge cannonballs splashed in the water. Then one hit the mainsail of the SS Walnut. "Surrender!" shrieked the elephant. "We don't have a chance!" A pig was running around in circles. The clown was turning somersaults. And the rag doll shouted, "We'll all have to walk the plank." Even Jenny looked worried. The Skull kept gaining on them, and soon it was alongside the SS Walnut. Just when Jenny thought they would have to surrender, Mose crouched with his front feet on the gunwale. Then he suddenly leaped toward the other ship and knocked the pirate captain to the deck. The other pirates tripped over one another as they ran to help their captain. "Now's our chance! Straighten up and full speed ahead!" yelled Jenny as the SS Walnut began to pull away from the Skull. "Hurry up, Mose! Jump aboard!" But it was too late. The pirates had pulled Mose from their captain and were holding him captive. The SS Walnut pulled farther and farther away from the Skull, and Jenny steered it toward a river that flowed through the island. But the Skull started after them again. Jenny knew her ship should try to outrun it, but she couldn't leave Mose behind. "Drop anchor!" Jenny shouted. Where's he? "Drop anchor!" Jenny shouted, but the SS Walnut was about to get away from the pirates. At this, Ballerina, who had been dancing around and around, began to cry. The rabbit covered his eyes with his paws and leaped down the hatch. A bear played dead. And everyone else cried, "Don't stop!" "Back to your stations," Jenny shouted firmly, "and aim those cannons at that big tree." The crew obeyed, and when the Skull was under the tree, Jenny yelled, "Fire!" Their aim was perfect. The giant tree swayed for a moment, then slowly began falling toward the Skull. It tore through the masts and sails. Then boards creaked and split as the tree crushed the deck. "Jump!" cried the pirate captain. Mose jumped overboard with the pirates and swam toward the SS Walnut, where the crew was waiting to help him aboard. A giraffe stretched its neck over the gunwale and lowered its head to the water. Mose clung to the giraffe's long neck with his front legs and was lifted aboard. "Hooray!" shouted the crew as the Skull began to sink. The elephant picked Jenny up and Mose with his trunk and put them on his back. The bear and the ballerina danced around the deck, and the 10 soldiers saluted Mose and Jenny while everyone else cheered and laughed. When Jenny saw that the pirates had made it safely to shore, she said it was time to sail for home. The crew manned their post, and the SS Walnut sailed past the crushed Skull, which was disappearing under the river's surface.